Actions speak louder than words. Pretty simple message, huh? And I think we all know that. I want to read these lyrics at the top. Why do we play with fire? Why do we run our finger through the flame? Why do we leave our hand on the stove, although we know we're in for some pain? Why do we refuse to hang a light when the streets are dangerous? Why does it take an accident before the truth gets through to us? Why do we let our minds run rampant when we know that what we are doing with our minds is creating our lives? Why do we allow ourselves to think things that do not benefit us? And then he says, cages or wings? Cages or wings? Which do you prefer? Ask the birds. It's such a cool lyric. Cages or wings, which do you prefer? Ask the birds. Ugh. Fear or love? Fear or love, baby? Don't say the answer, because actions speak louder than words. This is such a profound piece of writing that was written in 1980 something, I believe. 90? Early 90s. That was a long time ago, wasn't it? For some of us. Right? So cages or wings? I mean, as simple as that is, it really is what's going on with our lives. Are you using your mind to keep yourself locked inside of a cage, closed off, held back? Or are you using your mind to sprout wings outside your back and just soar? There's a beautiful song by Amy Bishop, and she talks about putting her toes over the edge of a cliff and growing wings as she falls forward. And the song is called Risk. So one of the things I am here to ask you today is, how much risk are you willing to throw into 2022? Knowing that you actually risk nothing because your life is unfolding perfectly. See, when you know who you are, you can risk anything because there's no risk. You get it. You are fearless. So my question to you today is, how much adventure are you willing to participate in this year? The title of my talk today is Actions Speak. What you do speaks, and Reverend Eric's correct. It's not about getting at a podium and like screaming out to the world, taking a huge action. Sometimes the action is just, how are you willing to use your minds today when you wake up? Are you willing to stay in love only? Are you willing to forgive everything? Everything, all of it. Are you willing? So where are you stuck? Are you stuck inside a cage, watching life go by? Or are you out there flying around, seeing what there is to see? What we sang at the top of the service was this whole concept that when you raise high above it all, you start to see how beautiful life is. But when you are stuck down in the mire of what may be going on in your life, you may not notice how beautiful life is. So there's your question for the year. Cages or wings? Which do you prefer? And I know, thank you. And I know, there's no one here. Well, you know what? No, maybe not. That was high. You know, maybe some of you do prefer cages. Maybe some people are safer inside the cage. Maybe some people feel comfortable nestled in somewhere. But I'd like to suggest that you could feel just as comfortable soaring over the universe, knowing that you are always nestled right there at the center of God, or whatever word you want to use for that. So Dale Carnegie said this: action breeds confidence and courage. If you want to conquer fear, do not sit at home and think about it. Go out and get busy. Sorry, you can't read that well. So I'll read it for you again. Action breeds confidence and courage. If you want to conquer fear, Do not sit home and think about it. Go out and get busy. Well, for me, I have been in this teaching since 1992. That's when I first heard David Walker speak. And when I heard him speak, and when he said, if you could take the boom out of this, William, my voice, when he said, there is a power for good in the universe, and you can use it. There's a power for good in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. Something in me just unlocked. Did y'all have that same feeling? Maybe it was Dr. Tom or Dr. Joe, where you heard for the first time something and you went, oh, I could have had a V8. Where you suddenly got it. So when I heard that, I have now had, 92, 202, 30 years. 30 years to absorb this teaching. And you know what? I am absorbed. I am saturated with all of the learning. Do you ever feel like your head's just ready to explode with everything you've learned? You know how you get rid of that throbbing headache? You act on it. You actually use what you've learned. You actually start living from that place of knowing. And that to me is what this year is all about. That's what action is all about for me. I want to act upon what I know. I know that if I use my mind incorrectly, I get to live that life. I know that what I focus on expands. I know that there is love everywhere to be found to the degree that I'm willing to find it. I'm willing to be open to it. So there's our big question for the year. Cages or wings? Fear or love? I love that it says fear or love, baby. And don't just tell me, show me. Show me. Show me what life is. And don't sit at home saying, show me, because you're inside. You need to tell the universe, I'm willing to participate and have the world be shown to me. So I always like to give a little rhyming slogan for the year. This year it's this: in 2022, lots to do. Now that's not about making, William, if you can, this is killing me with the ringing and the echo. If you can get rid of the idea of lots to do, meaning busy, because I don't need to be busier. Anybody need to be busier this year? No, I don't need to be busier. I just need to be willing to do what's in my head to do what's in my heart to do. How many of you have something in your heart right now that you are just, is in there that you want to do? Raise your hand. Something you know absolutely that is yours to do. Even higher. Good, Cheryl. Reverend Cheryl. Okay. Did you two raise your hands? Okay, good. Could it be graduating college? Please, that's what's yours to do this year. So whatever that is, it's time to do it. Don't you think? It's time. It is time to get out of the cage and start flying. Whether it be tap dancing or writing a thesis or finishing a class or whatever it is. Whatever it is, this is the year to do it. This is the year. So when I say in 2022, lots to do, 2022 is the year to get out of our heads and step into our lives. Get out of just the theory of this and step into the action of this. And you, as Reverend Eric said, the action I'm talking about isn't necessarily running a marathon. The action is mental, consciousness, that you are going to be able to be consciously involved in the life that is yours. So this next quote is by Meister Eckhart. When we plant in the soil, what we plant in the soil of contemplation, we shall reap in the harvest of action. So let's look at the word contemplation. I have contemplated so many things in my life. Anybody else? Right? Tons of us, right? We contemplate constantly. I can contemplate this. This could happen. Oh, maybe this could happen. I'd love to try this. So much so that you go crazy doing nothing because the contemplation stays cerebral. But it is time for us to take that cerebral contemplation, drop it into our hearts, feel it so profoundly that your legs gotta move. You know when that happens, right? Have you ever felt that? I know it's like, have you ever felt that happen to you? When something is just so overwhelming, it drops into your heart and you're like, I gotta do this. I just gotta do this. I gotta get up. I gotta get out. Yes, that was sweet charity. So it really is about whether or not you are ready, willing, you're already able to take your life and step it up a bit. Step it up a lot. Don't be afraid. Step it up a lot. And I love this image that I found. You know, when we plant in the soil of contemplation, we shall reap the harvest of action. What are you willing to harvest this year? You've done the planting. You really have. You've done the work. I have that saying, do the work, live the results. Let's live the results because you've done the work. And I'm not saying there's not more work to do. There is a lot more work to do mentally. There's a lot more to understand. I love the classes that we're teaching right now because they just are so expansive. I don't understand string theory completely. Anybody understand string? Or Candace probably does. Yeah, I don't understand string theory completely, but I do understand what string theory is starting to make me feel about this teaching. How we are all connected and that there is this one incredible energy that I am a part of and I am it. So next slide, William. This is from Martha Graham. And as most of you know, I am a dancer, so I relate a lot to this quote. She says, there is a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all time, this expression is unique. So just go to the first one. There is a vitality inside of you. We went yesterday to teach a spirit breath at Del Webb. And there was a woman in the spirit breath. I don't know if you're here today, but I'm about to talk about you. There was a woman in spirit breath when I said our affirmation was, I am living the adventure of a lifetime. And this woman went, pah. And I turned and I said, does that affirmation not work for you? She goes, not at all. That was in the first 2 minutes of a 45-minute class. So I thought, this is going to be a fun journey. But by the end, she was willing to find her 5-year-old self, go stand under a waterfall, and feel the energy pour over her. Because she did. She finally gave over to it. And some things came up for her that we talked about afterwards. So when I say there is a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening inside of you, there is. But you have to unleash it. You have to let it out. You have to be willing to first know it's there and then say, I'm ready to go. I am ready to let this out. I am ready to take everything I know and start acting on it. And then she says, translated through you into action, and because there is only one of you in all time, this expression is unique. And I picked 2 images of these dancers in the air, literally flying through the air. And I remember back to when I was dancing, and I was in a dance class, and I had already done West Side Story on Broadway, and the instructor asked me if I would demonstrate what he was teaching. And in my head, I was like, probably I'm the least person equipped here to do that step. And it was very similar to this top guy. And it was just this leap across the room. And I remember thinking, well, if he thinks I can do it, I guess I can do it. And since everyone's staring at me right now, I should just do it. And I remember diving, and I still feel it in my body, diving across the room and looking in the mirror as I think I was like this, and looking in the mirror and seeing myself like that. And I was like, how odd, I could cry. How odd that I don't see myself that way inside. There's something in me holding me back from seeing what they're all seeing, what you're all seeing now in those pictures. So I don't know what that is inside of you, perhaps, that doesn't see what I see, or that doesn't see the truth. But there is that in you that is ready, as she says right here, to move through you into action. And because there's only one of you in all time, your expression's unique. So I don't think 2022 is a good year to start comparing yourself to other people or to continue comparing yourself to other people. How about if we leave that in 2021? You good with that? Yeah. So let's be done with that, because every single one of us has the capacity to leap into our greatest expression of ourselves. That's who we are. That's really what's in there. So Ralph Waldo Emerson said this. He said, an ounce of action is worth a ton of theory. Isn't that great? An ounce of action is worth a ton of theory. So I'm going to suggest to you that whether you are ready or not, jump off the cliff. How does that feel? I love it. I saw your head go, no, not doing it. You can't make me. But think about it. Whether you're ready or not, because it's very possible, as Eric said, you'll never be ready. Isn't that a horrible thought? You'll never be ready. Just shoot the damn arrow. It doesn't matter where it hits, as long as it's not a live person. Just shoot the arrow. Be willing to believe and know that you have done the work. You know what it's about. You know that you are the very expression of this divine creativity. You know that there is something in you that will always, always unfold you perfectly. So why not take action on that? I think we have to ask ourselves, what are we waiting for? And what will it take to get us started? Well, we're at the beginning of a new year. I picked the theme, action. And there was a very good reason I picked it, because I need to step into action. I have done a lot in my lifetime, and I have done a lot with this teaching. But I'm less interested in standing up here in a class and teaching people more minutia for them to hold in their heads. I am way more interested in inspiring all of us to take it and do something with it. You know, I look at my son, 22, he's about to step into a life. And the one thing I want for him, more than anything else in the world, is that he is spontaneously, unabashedly willing to just go and do it. Not worry about whether it's going to be good or bad, because it's going to be both. We've all learned that, haven't we? But be willing to just step off that ledge and trust that the wings will be grown on the way down and then on the way up. So I have one more quote here. Action expresses priorities. Very often when I counsel people, they tell me what's going on, and then I ask them to tell me what's happening in their life. And they generally, very often, they don't mix. I'm like, you're telling me all of this, but you're not doing any of it. You're telling me this is what you want out of life, but you're doing nothing that would prove that. I used to say to religious scientists, if you were accused of being a religious scientist, would they have proof that you were? Would you be convicted? And the answer very often is no, because we're not using our brains and our minds the way that we can create better lives from. So I have a question for you today to leave here, to final question. What are your priorities? I just had a conversation with a couple of people who have very clear priorities. They know what their priorities are, and therefore they're making choices based on those priorities. So what are your priorities? What's the most important thing for you right now in your life? And Can you prove it? Actions speak louder than words. Don't tell me how important it is to you. Show me. Show me that your life is important to you. Show me that you believe that you can create the life you want by using your mind in an affirmative, creative way. Show me that you know nothing that's happened in the past means anything. Show me that you are not afraid of a future because you trust and know it's always going to unfold perfectly. Show me that. And I don't mean me. Show yourself that. Show the universe that. Because the universe is waiting for you to say yes and take the action necessary to create the life you want. Because the universe is always saying yes. And if you say, I'm not sure, the universe is saying, you're not sure. And if you're saying, I'm afraid to try that, the universe is saying, then I'm afraid to give it to you. That's how it works. So what are your priorities? Maybe go home and write them down. These are the priorities for my life. And now, prove it. Spend your mental coinage proving what it is you want out of life. Actions speak louder than words, and sometimes the best action you could think of is what she's doing on that mountaintop. Sometimes the best action you can take is to get quiet and listen. Because I'm here to tell you, the universe, God, love, whatever you use, will never, ever lead you astray. But you have to be willing to listen. You have to be willing to hear the truth of your soul. And once you hear it, have at it. This is our year. In 2022, lots to do. And it all starts with the way you use your mind. Namaste.